I still remember the night that dog came. No one in the village had seen it before. It had a shaggy coat, its ears flopped over its head, and it had eyes that seemed too wise for a dog. I'll never forget those eyes. They weren't wild like a stray. They looked almost human. It was just after sundown, and people had started to gather in the open yard under the big acacia tree. Our village was quiet, too quiet, because everyone was tense and worried. Little Nia had been missing since morning. Her mother had cried herself hoarse. Some of the men had gone out into the bushes, calling her name, but no one found her. People were starting to whisper. They said maybe something had taken her, something not human. You know how stories go around here. Sometimes children go missing, and sometimes they don't come back. The fear was sitting heavy on all of us. The worst part wasn't that Nia was gone. It was watching her mother lose herself bit by bit with every passing hour. From the moment we realized Nia was missing, her mother wouldn't stop crying, clutching Nia's little blanket, rocking back and forth. She hadn't eaten a single bite since dawn, and she wouldn't let anyone near her. She kept saying over and over, my baby, like nothing else mattered. By the third day, she had refused even to bathe or change clothes. She looked like a ghost, her face hollow and empty, as if everything that kept her alive had been stripped away. She didn't want to live without Nia. She'd just sit alone by her door, staring at the hills where her daughter was last seen. At one point, she told her sister, I don't think I can live if she doesn't come back. Her voice was so quiet and broken, it chilled all of us. People tried bringing her food, urging her to take at least a sip of water, but she just shook her head. Some women from the village stayed with her, afraid she might harm herself. But she hardly spoke, only mumbling sometimes in her sleep, calling out for Nia, as if Nia might just be hiding in the shadows. Then, on the fourth night, something strange happened. Just as the sun was going down and everyone had gathered outside, there came a low growl from the shadows, a dog we'd never seen. This strange dog came wandering in. It didn't look like it was hunting for food or begging for scraps. It looked like it was on a mission. It walked right into the middle of the crowd and sat down, staring at Nia's mother with those odd, human-like eyes. At first, everyone just stood there, unsure what to do. Someone tried to shoo the dog away, but it didn't budge. It only looked around at each one of us, almost as if it were asking, are you ready to follow me? Nia's mother was the first to understand. It wants to help, she whispered, her voice trembling. It knows where my daughter is. With that, the dog got up and trotted to the edge of the village, stopping every few steps to make sure we were following. I don't know why, but I felt a pull to go with it. So, I joined Nia's mother and a few others, and we followed the dog into the bush. The dog moved quickly, leading us through paths only animals knew. We went past thorn bushes, through narrow clearings, ducking branches and roots. It was the strangest thing, how it knew exactly where to step, where to turn. No one spoke a word, we were all too scared, too focused on the dog's bobbing tail. After what felt like an hour, we saw a faint light in the distance. It was a small fire, burning low, and beside it sat an old woman. I'd seen her around the village once or twice, but I'd never spoken to her. People said she kept to herself, never smiled, and always had a strange smell about her. And there, lying beside the fire, was little Nia, fast asleep. My heart raced. Nia's mother almost cried out, but the dog gave a low growl, like it was warning her to be careful. The old woman looked up then, her face lit by the firelight. Her eyes were dark and sharp, watching us like she had expected us. But the dog stepped forward, baring its teeth, and for a moment, something strange passed over the old woman's face. Fear, maybe. She didn't say a word, just sat there, as still as stone. The dog let out a low bark, a warning, and the woman slowly backed away, her eyes still fixed on the dog. Nia's mother hurried forward, scooped her daughter up, and held her close. We didn't wait for a second longer. We left quickly, not looking back, with the dog leading us all the way back to the village. When we got to the edge of the village, the dog stopped. It looked at Nia, gave her a gentle nudge with its nose, and then it was gone, vanishing into the night without a sound. The next morning, no one saw the old woman in the village again. She'd left, along with her few belongings, without a word. And as for the dog, it never returned either. Some say it was just a stray, others say it was an angel in the form of a dog, sent to save the child. But one thing's for sure, that night, we all felt something powerful, something beyond our understanding. And we don't talk about it much, but every time we hear a dog bark at night, we remember.